Hello, welcome back to my channel. Hello, welcome back. I am Sarah Sharnover. If this is your first time here, welcome for the first time. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I would like to talk to you guys a little bit about my editing process for when I'm self-editing. I know a lot of people don't know what they're doing because it isn't necessarily something that you're taught to do. I've kind of learned this I went through a number of writing classes in college and then just my own trial and error. So this is obviously not the way to edit a book, but this is a way to edit a book, and some parts might work for you and some parts might not. But I just thought I'd share it with you because maybe you want to know. I don't know, maybe you do. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is you want to print it out. For me, that is like one of the most crucial steps, is like having the physical thing in your hands. I know some people do print them like through a printing company, but I don't want mine bound at all. I like them loose. I like to keep like a binder clip on them, or keep a little, like if I'm gonna go out and work at a restaurant or something, I might clip a chunk together and take it out with me. But I need to edit on paper. Something about working on a screen I just don't hit everything, and it doesn't end up working as well for me. One other thing is to have a pen that's a different color, at least, than your text. I did used to print, when I was doing short stories a lot, I used to print each draft in a different color. I had like a color coding, so you could look at it, like you could pull it out and go, no, that's draft 3, it's green. So I did do that for a while. You can do that, and that works really well. Like if you're printing it out at home and you have a color printer and you want to use up some of the color ink rather than using all the black ink all the time because it's so expensive. So that's one of the things you can do. The next thing is that you want to focus on as much of the story in one chunk as you can. So if you can sit down for 4 hours and work on your editing, then you should do that. It helps maintain the fluidity, and you're much more likely to catch like errors and things if you're able to focus for longer, because you're less likely to have lost those details through like a night or a week or whatever. The next thing is, if you're comfortable focusing your attention, you can do this all in one step. If not, you might need to go through it a couple of times and do these things separate. But if you're comfortable doing it all at once, you can take a bunch of highlighters or a bunch of different colored pens and make notations for like different things. Some of the categories I make separate notations for would be like punctuation and grammar, character details like continuity stuff, like, you know, has reddish hair, has freckles, heavy set, those kinds of things, just so that you don't lose track of them or somebody doesn't lose 180 pounds overnight accidentally. Some story details, minutia, things that might be general story errors, like somebody opens a can of tuna 3 times in one scene. Point of view issues, you switch point of view, you kind of have a wavering point of view, maybe your point of view is unclear. This kind of depends on who you are, but the last one would be like not enough information or too much information. We all know someone who's an overwriter, and we all know somebody who's an underwriter. Whether one of those things is us, I'm an underwriter. That's another thing that you might want to look out for. You should probably know in yourself whether you're an overwriter or an underwriter, so you might not need to do both, but you also might kind of go back and forth, so you might need both as well. So those are just some ideas for categories, but obviously you can do whatever you want as far as categories go, so feel free to change that up if you are interested in using it. But just keep in mind that the important part is that you're color coding it so you can make sure that the things that go together do go together correctly. The next thing is to have a notebook handy. I write on the front and back of my manuscript when I'm editing it, but then sometimes it goes over. Sometimes I want to add 3 paragraphs of stuff and I don't have room to write all of that. So I use the notebook and I notate where I am at in the manuscript, and then I continue the writing that has needed to bleed over. Sometimes I will get a few of those on a page, like especially if I'm just like really wanting to expand a section. And when I get that, I tend to number them and then do like page 93, number 1, 2, 3, 4. So that way I can just connect them very easily. I do use graph paper for my notes, but I only use graph paper because I like graph paper. Like there's no real reason for it. So if you've ever noticed that, there isn't a reason, I just like it. The next tip is when you're putting your edits in, make sure you just go front to back, because every time you add and move things, it's going to move the manuscript around. So what'll happen is that you will end up not being able to find changes if you don't go through it straight through. And you might want to write down both the page you're on the computer and the page you're on the paper when you stop. When you're putting like the edits in and you stop for some reason, you might want to write them both down, because sometimes because it's moved, you might lose your spot. And who knows, maybe your cat will walk on your keyboard and do something weird, because they do things like that. And then I made a little list of things that make me enjoy editing a little bit more, because editing is it's my least favorite thing to do. It is my most favorite thing to have done. So sometimes I have to make it so that I can enjoy editing. One of the things that works really well for me is keeping some sort of graph that shows my progress. The problem is that graphs and things really pay off for me, but they really might not for you. So you need to find something like that that'll pay off for you. Some people really like stickers. Some people get a lot out of a bullet journal. Those things don't work for me. What works for me is just like a general graph. Sometimes I make it in Excel. Sometimes I make it on paper. It just kind of depends. Making a graph of my progress does make me feel like I've made progress. Another thing is putting on focus music or nature sounds, or maybe just white noise while I'm doing it, so that I can not just be sitting in silence. It does make it more enjoyable. Sometimes it makes it harder to tell how much time has passed. The next thing is monitoring key achievements and celebrating them, even if those celebrations are relatively small. You can do anything from like 10 pages, to like 10%, 25%, 75%, whatever works for you, but you should give yourself some sort of milestones to have as achievements. And the last thing is to get myself tools I enjoy using. So I don't like writing in red pen, and every red pen I've ever had has written terribly. But I do enjoy these pens, so I got a pink one. I like the pink one just fine. It shows up over the black of my text, so I can still see it. It still serves the same purpose as writing in red, so I don't have any problem with using the pink pen, and I enjoy that pen. When I'm working on like writing my my YouTube scripts or things like that, I tend to use fairly expensive pens that I really enjoy. Once again, it's just because I really enjoy having tools that I like. So if that works for you, then you should do that as well. To the best of your ability. Obviously, we don't all have the ability to get all of the things. So anyway, so I hope those things help you with your editing. Let me know down below if I missed anything that you do, or if you have tried things that I do and they don't work for you, or they do work for you. And don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys all in the next one. Bye! We're on our way to the vet. Well, we're very loud about it. Right now I'm waiting for Travis to get out of a doctor's appointment.